this video, I'm going to highlight what's involved in the changes of differential and transfer case oil in the 2024 Rubicon X. And I'm also going to highlight the differences between this process and the one in my 2018 Jeep Wrangler JL Sahara. So stick around. Hey, welcome to Cheaper Jeeper TV. I'm Dino, your host. Glad to see you here. If you're new to the channel, you might not be aware that I have done a differential and transfer case oil change video, as you can see here on the screen, but that was for my 2018 Sahara JL. Now in this video, I'm going to show you what's involved in the process on a 2024 Rubicon X. There are some differences, so that video here is good to understand the overall process, why we have differentials and transfer cases that require oil, what's involved in the process, and what tools that you'll require. So you may be interested in checking out that video just to get a good overall picture. And in this video, I'll highlight for you what the changes are. For starters, around 2022, Jeep started to eliminate the drain plug. You'll notice in the 2018 video that there's a front differential drain plug as well as a rear differential drain plug in the differentials. Now here in the 2024 Rubicon, you can see that those drain plugs have been removed. But why did they remove them? I'm not exactly sure. I've read on some forum posts that people who off-road were complaining that the drain bolts get damaged when they bang them on rocks and that sort of thing. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that now that the drain bolt is removed, the way to get the oil out of the differential is by removing these 10mm bolts that hold the cover on. But as for the transfer case oil change process, that is essentially the same as the process that I covered in that 2018 Jeep Wrangler video. So to get started, I recommend that you go to the dealer to get the differential and transfer case oil. Now the dealership can help you determine what type of differential oil and transfer case oil you need for your Jeep. I went there and the parts and service gentleman printed out this whole sheet for me here, and it shows all the different axles and the types of oil and the amount of oil required in them, if additives are required for your specific differential, that sort of thing. Got a quote from the dealer. They have a bundle where they do the two differentials in the transfer case, and it comes out to $750 plus tax. So here in Ontario with the tax, that's $850 Canadian. But if you go pick up the oil yourself, you just have to pay for the oil. So you can see here on the screen the cost savings by doing this yourself. So let's have a look at the process and what's involved, and you could let me know if this is easy enough to do on your own and save that money. So why don't we start here in the rear axle. This is the M220 Dana axle, and the bolts holding the cover on are 10mm bolts. But before you take those off, use the 3/8" ratchet head and put it in the fill plug right here, and take out your fill plug first, because if you're not able to remove that, it's better to know that and take it to the garage to have them help you with that, rather than remove the cover and then find you can't fill your differential because the plug is stuck. So you can see here on the screen the fill plug, and that has a little magnet in it which would catch little metal shavings, and that's normal. The fill plug needs to be cleaned up because there's a lot of the thread sealant on it, and a little wire brush or a pick tool can be used to clean that out. And you want to clean that out before you apply new thread sealant, or it'll begin to get all gunky, and removing that fill bolt later could get a little difficult with all that material there. So you want to keep a clean coat of thread sealant on that for reinstallation. Once that's done, we'll use our 10mm sockets to take these bolts off, and I'll just loosely go around and crisscross and loosen them all, and then I'll take the bolts off from the bottom, leaving the two top bolts loose but still in so that the cover doesn't fall down. And then just with a little tug on the cover, the bottom of the cover will peel away from the differential, and you can see how the oil will just spill into your drain pan. Now this wasn't as messy as I've seen some people do online. I think if you're just careful, it'll just pour out of the bottom into your pan, and that's it. You drain your differential. So when you look here at the differential when the cover's off, there's a reusable gasket, and that's a nice touch, because before they would have sealant on there and you'd have to scrape it off and clean the edge and that sort of thing. The process is much easier now because of the reusable gasket. Now this is a good time to check in the oil to see if you have any large metal bits. Check the gears that there's no teeth that are broken or that sort of thing. In my case, everything was nice and clean. So with the bowl all cleaned up and with the reusable gasket all cleaned up, we'll just align the holes to your differential here, and you can see that the fill hole is on the right hand side. I've got 2 bolts to align the cover and the gasket to the differential, and I'll just hand tighten them in. And then I would just hand tighten all the bolts all the way around to get the cover on nice and snug. And then I would do a crisscross pattern across the cover of the differential to torque these bolts down to 30 foot-pounds to reattach your differential cover. Now, online you will find some people that say you shouldn't reuse the bolts, and some people that say that's silly. I've been doing it all these years with the bolts, and one person said they've done this process on the Rubicon X 4 times with the same bolts. New bolts with Loctite already pre-applied is around $30 to $40 US. So what you can do, and what some others have done, is reuse the bolts, but keep your eyes on there and make sure when you apply these bolts that you're careful with how you torque them so that they don't break off. That's what I'm reading. I haven't heard of anybody busting differential bolt heads off. Now I am Cheaper Jeeper TV, so I am going to reuse the bolts, and make sure you're subscribed so that you can get an update down the road on how this is doing. Let's finish with the process. We have to put the oil into the differential, and I just used a hand pump to pump in the oil into the differential. Halfway through the bottle is a good time to stop pumping and put in the additive in this bottle so that you can continue to pump in the oil, and this will carry the additive into your differential. As the oil fills up the differential and reaches up to the bottom of the hole here, it'll start to spill out, and that's when you know you put in the appropriate amount of oil in your differential. At that point, you put your thread sealant on your fill plug and just install it at 25 foot-pounds. And then that's it. That's the process of changing the oil in the differential. Now the front differential is pretty much the same process, but there is a bit of a problem in that there's a track bar in the way of the bolts. Now to get the track bar out of the way, all you have to do is jack up the driver's side of the Jeep enough to the point where the track bar gets moved out of the way so you have access to the bolts. And that's it. After that, it's the exact same process. And in my case, it was the exact same differential oil, just a little bit different amount because this is the M220 axle, and at the front it's the M210. In your case, check with the reference material to see how much oil is required in the axles that you have. Now on the front differential, the only other difference is that the torque on the front bolts is a little different. The 10 mil bolts get tightened to 20 foot-pound plus 20 degrees turn. So make sure you're aware of that when you do the front differential. And as for the transfer case, it's exactly the same as in the initial video, and I would highlight to you the use of that little tray tool that I made to catch the ATF fluid coming out of the transfer case, because by using that tool it avoids you needing to take off the skid plate to be able to do that part of the process. I know the process to do this now is a little bit awkward now that you don't have the drain plug, but for the amount of money you save, I still think it's worth it, and it adds up over the years of ownership. So that's it for this week's episode of Cheaper Jeeper TV. I hope that you found it interesting and helpful. If you did, how about giving the video a thumbs up? And if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button right there and the alert bell so you'll be notified when the next video is released. Until the next time, I'm Dino for Cheaper Jeeper TV. Be well, stay safe, take care.